All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Model Playbooks channel. I'm Hannah, the founder. And today I'm super excited because I have a really amazing model. Her name is Khayshea, that is a part of this episode. And we're going to be diving deeper about her experience and just her journey, like in the modeling world. So, Khayshea, thank you for being here.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I first wanted to start off. I think a lot of people love to hear like the background of people's experience, like entering the modeling world. So let's take it all the way back. How did you get started into modeling?
Yeah, so I actually was introduced to modeling by my mom. I'm originally from Iowa. We don't have experiences or like opportunities like that there. But then we moved to Dallas when I was around 10, and she took me to what was it? It was like they used to do these expos or like, advertise these things on the radio.
Yeah.
So we just happened to go to one of those, and I think she was just as shocked that I wasn't scared. They had us walk, and it was, I don't know, I had the time of my life doing that. And then fast forward to when I was 17, I graduated high school, went to UNT, and on their campus they had a group called Mosaic, which was a modeling group, and I just kind of, started there being able to move around on my own and really go to, different castings and different opportunities with that. And it's just been from there.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
super awesome that you first started off like in a small hometown and then you moved to like a bigger city that had some
Hmm.
opportunities. But it's super interesting that you had actually a mom to kind of open that door for you, to like hold your hand, to introduce
Hmm.
you like to this whole world. Did you like at a young age kind of already had like that dream to go after modeling, or did she kind of see that within you and just brought it out of you? Tell me like how that started.
Yeah. So it was a dream of hers, but I grew up playing sports. So like I grew up playing basketball, running track. I never knew anything about modeling. But it was always a dream that she had. We just again didn't have those opportunities there. So when we came down here and then she learned about it, which it may be fun to have her on sometime too.
Yeah.
Because she has her own little journey with modeling. But yeah, once we got here and the doors kind of opened for these opportunities, like I said, they were advertising stuff on the radio on a regular basis. So
Mhm.
we just would like go to those types of things. And it's like those groups where you come in, there's a bunch of people, they tell you about how they can change your life as a model, and all of these celebrities that they say went through their program. And then by the end of it, it's like, okay, we just need an investment of $5,000. So it wasn't, I don't know, the most lucrative, but we just still would go to them on a regular basis.
Yeah. And it's like those opportunities, I think they're still around too, because actually I also had a similar experience where there were like these academies that you would go to like on the weekends when you're young.
Hmm.
And they were
Hmm.
also like $6,000 for like 4 months or 2 months, etc. But it's
Yeah.
kind of like I do understand why they exist. It's people that maybe have no clue how to actually break into the industry. Like that's
Hmm.
kind of what they're faced with as an option and they kind of go for it. But no, it's super interesting that you also went through something similar to that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It did kind of bring on some experience just in terms of like you would get up in front of the group of whoever is there, and like I'll never forget, this was the scariest thing for me, but they had us read a Butterfinger commercial, like a script. And at this point, this is a completely separate one. Like I said, we used to do them often, but I was so nervous. And they have all these people looking at you, a camera, like, but it was just some of the first opportunities for me to be in front of a camera or even deliver lines or see what lines look like. So I think something came out of it. Maybe I didn't go with that program, but, the little experience that came with it still I think was beneficial.
For sure. I think like especially initial exposure just to understand like what all the industry really entails and what it looks like.
Hmm.
It's really great that you have that under your belt. Now, going from like that academy to later on getting signed to let's say like a bigger agency that had these clients coming in, what did that transition look like to you? When did that kind of shift?
Yeah, so that didn't happen for me until I was maybe, I want to say I was at least like 19, 20, the first
Mm-hmm.
time that I was signed. And then, and it was a beautiful experience. It was my first time with an agency. I felt like, finally somebody sees something in me. At the time, I actually needed braces. There were a lot of other things that I needed, like some fine tuning with. But I still was really excited about that and just having the opportunity to work with an agency. But up until that point, I had been shooting a lot, and there were certain things that I didn't really gel with. So I actually wasn't with them for very long. And then it took for me to have my daughter, and which few years later, I have my baby. I, at that point, had been doing a whole bunch of shows. I used to do runway shows all the time, which we can get into that. But by the time I have my daughter, and then I'm kind of like, yeah, I want to get back into it, but I'm just kind of dropping baby weight. A makeup artist friend of mine reached out asking, do you plan on modeling again? And I'm like, yeah, again, I'm just, trying to kind of prepare myself. Well, she wanted to introduce me to the agency that I'm currently with. And I had just locked my hair. I feel like there's actually a few things that I'm skipping over because up until this point, I had gone to New York. I had tried all the things, like all these casting calls. My hair was big and curly. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, you just kind of hear like, oh, we love your look, but we have somebody that looks like you. I find out
Right.
that I'm having a baby. I decide to lock my hair. After I have her, the friend of mine reaches out. She wants to introduce me to my current agency. And I'm like, absolutely. At this point, I'm at work, like ducking behind the counter, trying to talk to her, like, yes, please, let's schedule this meeting.
Yeah.
And I went in and they were just like, we love you. We love your look. We want to sign you. And that was really when my life changed. Um, and I don't know, I just kind of attribute it to me stepping into who I truly wanted to be at that time. My locking my hair was my first outward expression of just living my authentic self. I'm getting ready to, have a daughter. I want to be able to teach her how to do those things and how to embody that. But how can I if I'm not doing that myself? So locking my hair was my first real, outward expression of doing that. And people ask me like, well, what about your modeling career? And I'm like, what's for me will be for me. It'll be fine. I didn't even think twice. I'm like, we're just going to lock it. It'll be okay. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so for that agency to pretty much tell me like, yeah, no, we love everything about you. We love your look. We love your hair. It just was like confirmation that I'm moving in the right direction and it's coming from the inside out.
I love that.
That makes
I
sense.
I think that like how you mentioned the timing just it's going to be for you whatever you decide to do whether it's like change up your hair or go a different route at a later time and then pick up modeling again. It's really if it's for you and if you want it you can go after it and there's going to be no's, but the person that says yes is yet to come, or they're soon going to be, fall aligned within your tracks. And I do want to talk about how you mentioned you had a makeup artist friend. That's something that really like struck to me because sometimes it takes a person that's already in the industry to know, what the agents that they're working with or them just being in proximity seeing the other model types and then keeping you in the back of their mind and just kind of waiting for that alignment or like the best opportunity to present you to them.
Hmm.
That's like really fortunate, right, for you
Oh my
and
gosh.
a lot of
Yeah.
people because it's you could have just been a submission that is overlooked versus if you already have someone that's vetting you and they trust that
Hmm.
makeup artist already. And then it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, I'll meet her. And sometimes it's still very much like networked based, I feel like,
Hmm. Hmm.
especially in the times that we're living in now. It's, they want to hear people that have already been vetted or does something like in the creative works or is in a network of people that then want to model for them to meet versus
Hmm.
a complete stranger that they don't know if they
Yeah.
have any activity or momentum within the space. But that's super awesome that, you had that. Not a lot of people do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, such a blessing. And again, because up until that point, I was discouraged. Like I said, I went to New York. I was doing a lot out there, just trying to put my face out there, trying to, go to all these different agencies and to consistently hear, we love your look, but we have somebody that looks like you. That's a little defeating because, then it's like, well, what do I do about that?
Right.
And I found myself like trying to pivot in a way that I was gonna try to fit myself into what they needed,
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, even with being able to work a lot of fashion shows, and while that's not really the lane that I'm in currently, and I don't think the lane for me now, it did give me the opportunity to network a lot. I can't remember if I believe that that's where I met this particular makeup artist. It had to have been at a show, but just again, networking, getting to know people, practicing, because that's what a lot of it is, putting yourself in front of the camera as much as possible. And just it's really a blessing to have somebody consider you even when you don't think, like, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure it out. So I'm forever
Right.
grateful to her.
Amazing. And I think it's really important to always, stick around with those people, especially if they're already having like their feet wet in this space, to for you to always be able to reach out to, like on a personable note, versus,
Hmm.
you going in blindly through submissions and then just kind of hoping there's traction behind that end. But
Hmm.
no, that's super awesome. Now, I want to talk about, your how you mentioned like the practicing of being in front of the camera and working with different photographers or different creatives. Tell me about, for aspiring models that are watching, what are some practical steps that they can take when it comes to knowing what photos to even include in their book? Because I think a lot of them that I've spoken to is they're looking for trade for print opportunities, and they're getting in front of photographers that kind of already have their own specialty kind of shoots that they do. Like some
Hmm.
photographers are really editing heavy, or not really, it's they're nice photos, but they're not really great to have for models to then present to these agents. So kind of tell
Right.
me about like the crafting of your book and like best practices.
Yeah, okay. So I do want to just say though, starting off, let's say you don't have anything at all, you still are welcome to just creating digitals. And that's just a quick search of like, what does a model digital look like? You can present yourself with just simple makeup, simple styling, camera photos, front, back, side to side, like you can present yourself like that. When it
Yeah.
comes to building your book and getting that practice in, Pinterest is like the number one thing for me.
Oh,
Looking
yeah.
into what commercial, images look like. And it's taken me a while to even understand that. Like I said, I started off doing a whole lot of runway. I'm 5'8". Actually, these days they're telling me I'm 5'7". So
Oh my
at
gosh,
the end of the
really?
day,
I would
still
never would think that you're 5'8". I felt like you were like runway height for the longest.
really? That's such a
Yeah.
compliment. Thank you. No, I'm not runway high. And so it's like I did so much runway at the beginning, which again, it has its benefits, but not for where I was trying to head. Anyway, looking into, and when I say commercial modeling, I'm talking your JCPenney ads, your Walmart ads, your Target ads. Just go into the store, look up, and you will be able to have an opportunity to see like, oh, okay, it isn't heavily edited. There's also not a lot of makeup. It's just your natural, everyday, bubbly direction. Um, but Pinterest is really good for giving a lot of ideas. Get in front of that camera, or excuse me, get in front of the mirror. Let's start there. Get in front of the mirror, practice your facial expressions, know your angles. And then when you are looking for a photographer, compare. Does this look like the ad that I just saw at the
Yeah.
store? You know, are they doing more of like an avant-garde, or what's the other word? Editorial. Is it a little more editorial, a little more heavily styled? Does it look like an everyday photo? Because at the end of the day, that's all commercial is, like everyday, regular looking people. Um, yeah, so I
Yeah,
think the comparison really would help a lot when it comes to trying to choose a photographer.
I love that. I think you're so spot on when it comes to really emulating the kind of work that's already published out on these ads for like these
Yeah.
different brands. Like one brand that stands out in specific to me is like Target. You go into Target and so many times I met these girls actually in person and I see them, right? But it's also
Yeah.
like you needing to understand like what what kind of model are you almost by default? Like, are you
Yeah.
kind of already have that look of being a commercial model, like being the
Mm-hmm.
target model, or are you like really beauty focused? Do you have like really nice
Mm-hmm.
features that show up at Sephora? Or are you a like runway model for the most part, where it's really hard for you to be smiley and bubbly, but you have a great walk and you really know how to wear the clothes on the runway? So,
Yeah. Yeah. It is so important to know your lane.
yes.
So
But I
important.
also think like, some models are hybrid where they can kind of do a little bit of everything, but still there's that default like baseline of where they truly fit the most in. Like look at it like
Yeah.
percentages.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd say for the girls starting off, focus more on whatever that one lane is. Let your agency, tell you like, okay, yeah, we can start you here. This is what you've been doing, but you also would be good for that. I think that's okay too. Find what you know is going to work for you, where you're going to be the strongest, I believe, where you can practice, you know, touch every area, sure. But if you know that commercial, you've done enough research to know that my look is commercial. While I love
Mhm.
runway, that's where I'm going to make my money. That's probably what I'm going to get sent out to do the most. If I can walk, that's great. Even now, like I can still do a lot of runway, but I don't. And truthfully, there's just a lot of time that goes into it. If not a whole lot of money is given or paid out to the model in runway. So it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, like you said, know your lane and focus your efforts there. Let your agency open up other opportunities for you.
Yeah. No, I love that. I I'm glad that you brought up like really consulting with your agents because
Hmm.
sometimes a lot of models just get signed and they never talk to the agents or people that are within the agency to
Hmm.
really like use them as like a mentorship opportunity or any areas that they can leverage that they not may not be saying, because again a lot of models, you know it's not until I've gotten older, when my frontal lobe developed after
Uh-huh.
25, is
Yeah.
when it's like it's okay to ask questions, right? Because when I was younger, I'm going to speak for myself, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, is you don't want to like annoy anyone with your questions, or you don't want to, let's say, burn a bridge that's not even there. So kind of I want to like expand on, you know, what that really looks like, having like a good relationship with your agencies,
Hmm.
and what can models do in the beginning to make sure that they're at a good understanding with their booking agents and, doing everything that they can to represent themselves well and really like
Yeah.
have a good sustaining career.
Okay. Um, Communication, as cheesy as it sounds, communicate with your agency. Don't be afraid, like you said, to ask those questions and listen to the feedback. If they tell you, like, this is what we need to see from you, if you're serious about wanting to do this, you cannot be stubborn about it. Like, just consider doing the thing because they do have your best interests at heart. They are also dealing with a lot of models. Mother agencies tend to be smaller, but they're still dealing with a lot of models. So
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're like consistently putting yourself in their face, if too much time goes by for me, then I'm like, hey, just wanted to check in. How's everybody doing? What else do I need to do? Because I want to stay on their mind. It can be easy, I feel, to be out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And then continuing a healthy relationship, I think just looks like they find out about how you're acting on set. Make sure that you're being professional on set so that if any feedback is given that we don't know about, it's nothing but good, news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It allows them to know, like, okay, not only is the client interested in the way that you showed up because you're a professional, but we also know that we can trust you in sending you out to meet our clients. So just
Yeah.
carry yourself with poise, and again, communicate. If there's something that you don't like, communicate that as well. Don't expect that they're just going to be able to read your mind. uh,
Yeah.
yeah, keep
I
keep
think,
that door open both ways.
yeah, I just want to preface, I can't preface that enough. They really cannot read your mind. You're going to be sitting down
Hmm.
sometimes, at home wondering why you haven't heard from them, or where is an opportunity to work with maybe some photographers that they have, et cetera, et
Hmm.
cetera. But you're right, they're working with so many other models. And I think you shouldn't take that so personable, and
Hmm.
really just understand, like, that's a lot of people that they have to make sure that they cover. And it's kind of impossible if you're just one person. Let's say if
Hmm.
you are the creative at the agency that's making sure like all these models are working with different photographers to have fresh photos like in their books.
Hmm.
That's a lot of time. So I
Yeah.
think it's really important
Hmm.
not to take that to heart, and be really graceful with the agents and everything,
Yes.
because
Yes.
you just never know like all that they have to juggle within their day. And then on top of that, if you're looking for mentorship, it's really hard to ask of them for that. That's why I think it's really important to stay in community with, let's say, other
Hmm.
models or other creatives, just to get that like relationship energy up, and make sure
Hmm.
you are feeling heard and you're not the only person. I think sometimes you think that it's only happening to you, but if you're just
Yeah.
around people they're also experiencing these different things, you would feel so much better.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. That is really important. Community amongst the models, and um, yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about some misconceptions or beliefs that people have when it comes to models eventually getting signed by, let's say, their dream agency. I know you
Hmm.
and I kind of spoke on these, different things, but I think a lot of people from the outside really feel like as long as a model gets signed, she's set. There's like that stigma. Again, I just wanted to kind of expand on this discussion a little bit more. Is
Okay.
people from the outside, they're looking in and they're thinking, oh, she got signed, so she is set. Like this is the golden horizon. She has made it. This is it for her. She is set. There's
Hmm.
that kind of stigma. I think that people that are not, in within the industry kind of just put onto models. But if you're in the
Hmm.
industry, you know that that's truly not the case. And I want to talk about, when it comes to models that are actively looking to get signed, just to kind of bring this to their attention and their awareness. It's it can be pretty discouraging to feel like just because you get signed and you're not seeing any work, or you're not seeing any momentum, that it just might not be like the career that you're supposed to go after. But I want to talk about what are some, you know, key things for models to make sure that they're actively doing once they do get signed, to kind of, bridge that gap, and helping them like prevent that feeling of just being signed and forgotten about, and just getting on the board, more for just like vanity, and not
Yeah.
so much, momentum within their career.
Yeah. So the first thing is, please get the idea out of your head that you've made it just because you signed, because that's truly when the work starts. Like, it's not just up to your agency. There's a lot of work that you do on your end, whether I mean, it can be as simple as making sure you're keeping up with your workouts so that you are hitting your measurements every time you have to check in, basically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can talk to them about photographers, but I talk to photographers on a regular basis, and I will reach out to my agent like, hey, I'm interested in testing with this person, or if I know that I am, I'll have them reach out, so that I can connect those dots. Like, it doesn't have to just be it's not just up to your agency to continuously make sure that, you know, certain things are happening. Your book is being updated. Of course, they're there to do that as well. They're there for that resource. Um, but yeah, your work
Yeah.
does not stop at all by the time once you get signed. That's just where you keep going. Um,
Yeah.
and then look at a couple of different things. It could also simply be the market that you're in. Maybe you, for instance, for me, I'll use myself as an example. I'm signed here in Dallas. I've worked with a lot of people in this area, gratefully. But I'm also signed in LA. And the hardest thing for me right now is the fact that I can't be out there on a regular basis. But a lot of times that's the goal, to sign somewhere else, move to that area so that you can put your feet on the ground. If you have that opportunity, go for it. Like,
Hmm.
especially if you are just a single person, it's only you that you have to worry about. Take the opportunity to go for it, because it could just simply be that where you are is either too saturated. Maybe your look doesn't work the best for that area. Maybe you've worked with everybody you can in the area, you know, not that they can't still use you, but obviously people want new faces after a while. You know,
Yeah.
so consider that. And then again, have those conversations with your agency. What do you need to see from me? What else could I do? They'll let you know, well, we need to get you some images that look more like this versus that. I tend to have a lot of images of movement, a lot of artsy type of things, you know, where they don't want that. So the last conversation that I had with my agency was, we need to get some images of you with less posing, you know, something that's a little more toned down. Just have those conversations. But yeah, your work does not stop once you are signed,
Yeah.
you know.
It truly is the start of when you actually start working for it. And, your perception of really going after just going after the different photographers that you want to work with and cross-referencing that with your agencies for their approval. But
Hmm.
also, when it comes to like the regulations, like for example, sometimes your agent will be like, don't work with that photographer, or no, we don't need that. Um,
Hmm.
I think there's like a delicate dance when it comes to it being for your agency, or sometimes it can just even be for you. Like if you want these kind of photos for just you and your personal desires. But I do want to talk about, um, you mentioned like being in different locations, right?
Hmm.
I think a lot of models, they don't start off living in New York or living in an accessible city that has these, raging opportunities. So let's say they're in a small town and there's maybe just a couple modeling agencies. What would you say to them when it comes to understanding to leverage their local agencies
Hmm.
and not sleep on them, right? Because this can be your opportunity to get your feet wet if you've never done this before. And
Hmm.
also kind of prefacing, you don't know the connections that they have outside of that small town that they can, later on bridge you with.
Yeah.
So I want to expand on that. You mentioned you started off in Dallas and then you were able to get signed in LA. You worked in New York. But what what did that look like for you? And if there were any challenges to that kind of flexibility, please let's discover that.
Yeah, yeah. So to answer the first part of your question, if there are agencies in your area that are reputable agencies, definitely tap in. Submit, even if you get a no, because again, you're gonna hear a lot of no's before you get some yeses. But don't let it discourage you. Don't stop there. Don't, you know, then make yourself feel like I'm not good enough or any of the things. I still think that, like I mentioned before, in terms of all the fashion shows that I did, it still gave me the opportunity to meet designers, to meet photographers that were there, makeup artists. You know, all of those are opportunities to network, to put your own photo shoots together. Do your research about what looks good for you. If you know commercial is your lane, now you know you know, you can look online for commercial images, reach out to those people that you've networked with. Submit yourself again. then maybe this time you're submitting yourself and you do have a couple of images, continue to practice. Look at your posing, your facial expressions, all of those things. But don't think just because it's not working with the people that are around you or with the agencies in your city, that's fine. Say you've submitted even there a million times. Submit to other areas. If you feel like you have the means to get to those places, then you can submit. I could always submit myself to New York from Dallas. I just need to know that I have the means to get out there if that is the case. Um, the second part of your question, can you refresh me? Because I've said a
Yeah,
lot
no, you're
now.
good. I love it. The second part was, what did that transition look like for you? And if there were any challenges, let's say needing to be on site at these different locations,
Yes,
what
yes.
what kind of like hurdles did you bump into there, if
Yeah.
any?
So my biggest challenge right now is being signed to LA. It's difficult for me to get out there as frequently as I would like. So right now I'm doing a more direct to hire, which is just basically I've already confirmed the job, so they're flying me out. Um, which obviously is different than if I was there. I could go to castings if there's in-person ones that can send me the last minute things, which would give me an opportunity to build relationships with, people that are already out there a little easier. So it's still a challenge for me, but at the end of the day, I'm still reaching out to my agency. What more do you need from me? My agency in LA, I'm signed, but my daughter and my mother are also signed. So they send us out on different jobs for all three of us to do. So what they've asked of me more recently is we just need some fresh images of all three of you guys together. So that's what I'm in the process of putting together right now is, a test shoot with them so that I can send those images out so they have fresh images. So again, even though I'm not there, I'm still able to find out what do you need from me to help us to continue to book, and then I all I can do is deliver them what I feel is best, or what I can put together out here, and they're either going to tell me yes, this works, or it doesn't, and I'm going to go out there and try again.
Yeah. I love that you do everything that you can. Like, it's not just you waiting for that hire, is how can you best position yourself before that hire to even attract and allure like
Hmm.
that, booking opportunity. It's all in what are you doing even if you're not working. You should still
Yes.
be working to some capacity, to
Yes.
set yourself apart because now as you can see, like there's so many models in the modeling industry,
Hmm.
but the ones that really have that momentum is they're constantly going at it. They're not just waiting for opportunities to come to them. They're
Right.
outsourcing that and they're doing the most that they can to get more exposure and more visibility on them.
Right.
Now, speaking of visibility and exposure, I know that you have also incorporated UGC style content into your
Hmm.
world alongside like your modeling career. And I think that's so important. And it's one thing that really stood out to me when I saw you is you are not only a model, you're also doing this alongside like your journey.
Hmm.
And tell me about how did that even come about? How did that start?
Yeah.
And yeah, I would love to dive deeper in that.
Yeah. So I do want to mention that unfortunately for all of us, Instagram is a really big factor when it comes to your modeling career. It's funny because when I started off modeling, Instagram was not a thing at all. So it was very much just, you get as many images as possible to send or to submit or whatever. But they are including your following count. It's who you are. So it gives the client an opportunity. So Instagram is just important in general. And I do think if you're testing a lot, you're getting content, it's still going to be good for you. So whatever you're doing, make sure you are, you know, being as consistent as possible on Instagram, whatever that looks like for you. It is important. UGC came into it for me because while I have been pursuing my modeling career, I've had a ton of jobs, mainly for the sake of flexibility. Now, I started off about 10 years of my career was in aesthetics, worked my way up to management. You kind of can only go so far there, but after a while, it just wasn't flexible. And so when my modeling job started to pick up, now I have to make a decision, But you still have those slow moments. Modeling is very much like this, so making sure that I'm bringing in income when I'm on those down sides of it is important. And after a while, I'm just like, I'm seeing people talk about the money that they're making through UGC. It's literally what I already enjoy, which is being in front of the camera, because I enjoy all the aspects of modeling. The production side of things, I've been learning a lot about. I just, all the lights, camera, action, the hard work that goes into it. Like, I just love everything about it. And UGC seems like the opportunity to put yourself out there in a way that you can generate your own income, and maybe you don't have that middleman. People with UGC do have agents still, which is nice. Your agency is going to be good to look at your contracts, help negotiate all those things, especially if they offer that for UGC. But at the end of the day, it just gives me an opportunity to stay in front of a camera. That sounds so vain. Stay in front of
No.
the camera.
Hey,
But,
modeling is marketing. That's what I
oh,
say.
it is marketing. And that's what I'm learning more about UGC as well. It's like, it's not just content, it's sales.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it for me, it is about the flexibility, being able to still be my own boss and bring in an amount of income that I would like to generate, because I'm also raising a daughter, so, and I
Yeah.
want to be as flexible as possible. That's like the biggest currency for me is my time. And it just gives me another opportunity to create the lifestyle that I want, still have my time, and still be able to just do something that I love, which is all of the things that have to do with production.
For sure. And I think there is like a perfect synergy of the two because
Hmm.
it matches still really perfectly like on your page as you're
Hmm.
modeling and you're doing branding stuff with
Yeah.
UGC. So it's not like super polarizing. It's kind of has that perfect like harmonious flow to it.
Right.
And I think how you mentioned you needing to be so flexible, like, within your modeling journey, because you're right, like there's high times and but there's also low times and you're not hearing anything back. But,
And there's
time
last
is
minute
still
times.
time.
Like, you get those
Yeah.
calls and they're like, we need you on set tomorrow in a whole nother city. But, and it's like, if I have a nine
Yes.
to five that I need to clock into, depending on how bad you want it, I've clocked it or called in many a times. But
Yeah, me
if I don't
too.
have to, do the fake sick thing and I can just be like, yeah, I'm available, that's way better, but people
Yeah.
have bills to pay. Like, I don't know. It's, some aspects of it can be a little unrealistic, but maybe we're just crazy because we do it anyway. you know?
We are crazy and we do it anyways, but
Yeah.
it's so not sustainable. Like some people get
Mm-mm.
fired from their jobs. I know for me, for example, I didn't get fired, but I know that my relationship with my boss started to get a little strained because of these spontaneous needs to need to go like take 30 minutes away. Um, sorry, I thought my laptop was on do not
No, you're
disturb.
fine. I
Um,
completely went to a casting for my lunch break thinking I'll be in and out. I was gone for like an hour and a half. And I'm telling you, lunch break, like, girl, you're only supposed to be gone for like 30 minutes and you come back, to the point where they're calling me. I'm like, and I'm clear downtown Dallas trying to get back to Plano. If anybody's in the DFW area, that is not close.
for sure, and especially with traffic, it's
Oh my,
forget about it.
terrible.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
No.
But I think that's, the this like overarching like theme that a lot of models are experiencing where they suddenly need to be flexible all the time. They always have to be on go.
Hmm.
Um, but you're modeling paychecks and like that sustainability is just simply not there. It's always going to be this like spontaneous. I need this model ready at whatever time that I like to snap my fingers for her to be available. And when you are, let's say, in school studying for a major, your major, or you work a career corporate job, but you
Hmm.
want to also juggle modeling on the side, it's always this like strain and this like struggle, and there's just simply not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Simple as that, to
Hmm.
kind of just be readily available for all these different, obligations that you have in order to just have a livelihood. And everyone wants, your career to sustain you and support you. But when your career is modeling, there's not that, access and availability to you immediately just yet. And
Yeah.
I think, let's see, how you, sorry, I'm like starting to have a
No,
little brain
you're okay. I
fog.
was gonna just add when we were talking about what it looks like to have a relationship with your agency, it's a part of that is you have to be available. And
Yeah,
so if you could see the way that I respond when I receive an email, it's probably a little crazy, like PTSD crazy, because I'm on it. Because it could be my agency, and if they need a response right then, like they're gonna just move on to the next person if they
yeah,
don't get a timely response from you.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole nother conversation that we could
yeah.
have
I mean,
about,
let's get into it. Let's
those
get into
things,
it.
but it's
I
just
have a little
like,
cup of coffee to give me a little bit more caffeine this morning.
yeah, that's just, I don't know. That is a part of it though. You definitely have to be available, and it's so spontaneous, which I do love an aspect of that. I love to know that tomorrow I could be in a different city working,
Hmm.
but yeah, you have to be available to for that, and bills still have to be paid on time, and sometimes that even
Yeah,
looks like you're coming out of pocket. Like I've come out of pocket for opportunities that I'm paying more to get there than they're paying me to be on
right.
set, with
Me
the
too, for
hopes that it's
example.
going to translate, into more opportunities, or maybe it's just because of that brand. And I think that's another reason why UGC sparked my interest, is because one, it's different than influencing, whereas you put the content together and you just give it off to the brand so they can utilize it, instead of you
Mhm.
having to have this really big platform yourself. So that's kind of nice, because as we've seen the algorithm and the things change on Instagram, it almost feels like it's a little harder to gain those followers like it was at the beginning of it. um,
Uh-huh.
so that's nice. It's not based on your follower count, but then you can also work with these bigger brands that you desire to work with as a model, whether they reach out to you as a model or it's just the branded content that they're looking for. It just still gives you an opportunity to put yourself out there in a way that it could benefit my modeling career as well.
Yeah. You
you know
never know, because there's always like that opportunity. Let's say you're in front of a client and they ask you, "Oh, what else do you do?"
hmm
And once they ask models that, they're trying to see if there is any potential opportunity that they can also attach their brand with you in, let's say, a future project,
yeah,
apart from just that one job.
yeah.
So I think it's super important now more than ever for models to have something else that's alongside their modeling journey that pairs
hmm
really well to not only supplement them with income, but also have a vehicle to whatever like specific vertical or niche that they become like
hmm
subject matter experts in, or and they can use that as leverage because this world is just so big, especially in the creative world, when these brands are always looking for their next campaign of a creative opportunity. And sometimes it's not brought to them in their board discussions, but a model brought it up to them. And it's
hmm
because she does that. So you would stand out much more compared to the other model that is shot for just e-com work and she does nothing else attached to her name.
Yeah.
So I think, it's important to discover that or develop that if models haven't yet. And
hmm
as you mentioned, you doing UGC and how that's been working harmoniously with your modeling career. But also, I want to talk about like that flexibility that you really truly need to have in order to have a really great shot of making your modeling like dreams a career,
Yeah.
because you mentioned like always needing to be spontaneously available and somehow like come up with the funds to support your modeling endeavors, to let's say stay at location like in LA for two
hmm
months just to even get some work and momentum going and get your name out there.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about it, but it takes, let's say, $75 to go from one point of New York City to the other just to meet with the client, just for them to see you visually because your agent called you randomly at 1 p.m. on Wednesday and
Mm-hmm.
said, "Hey, I need you to go down to this location to meet with this casting director."
Mm-hmm.
And you're in the middle of work, you're in the middle, let's say, of class, or you're at work and you're like, oh man, if I tell my this agent right now, no, they're not going to talk to me for like 2 months. And they're really like adamant about how I need to meet them right now. Like, can I suddenly
Yeah,
become so available? It's it's super stressful to have that kind of pressure weighing on you.
it
And when
is.
you're
Yeah.
super reliant to your job and your 9 to 5, it's only a matter of time until one outbeats the other. And let's say you have to let
Mm-hmm.
one go, unfortunately, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you
So
just have to really, you really have to know what you want. What are you wanting to get out of this career? I've met so many people, and it's that's why I say we're a little crazy, right? Because we still do it. But for me,
yeah.
this is what I want to do. So I'm going to make all the sacrifices that I possibly can so that I am successful in this. I've met plenty of other models that are like, yeah, I just do this on the side, or like, which for somebody that's working really hard, I'm like, except we're both here on this job, like, good for you. But no, it just really depends on, is this what you want to do full time? Is this, because then you make life fit it. Like, that's pretty much what I've done. I've made my life fit to where I am able to do this, and I'm grateful for that as well. But I mean, I've met plenty of people that are, yeah, they do it on the side. They're in school to do other things, and if that's what it is for you, that's completely fine. And then you don't necessarily have to worry about certain things. Like, if I'm in class, I'm in class. And your agency will work around some of those things. If they know that, hey, you're in school, you may miss out on opportunities, or they might reach out to you about certain things. And, at that point, you get the opportunity to say, well, yeah, I can, or no, I can't. But whether it's responding to your agency, whether it is a casting that's virtual, that has a deadline, by it's 12 o'clock, I could get an email now that's like, hey, we need you to submit for this casting at 2. And I'd be like, okay, girl, gotta go. Like,
Yeah.
but it does
And
happen like
please.
that. Yeah, right. But it does happen like that. And it just, I don't know, if this is really what you want, you'll do it. But
Yeah.
just make sure
And
you hold on to your morals. That's something else, right? Okay, because there are a lot of things that could come your way that it's like, no, but this is what I want, so I'm just gonna do it. But hold on to your values. Don't let
yeah.
people talk you out of what you know to be true to you or what's important to you. Don't want it so bad that you're willing to put yourself in a bad situation. But if we're just talking about what the hustle looks like, the grind, then
Yeah.
you'll do it.
You're I love how you mentioned like you need to just decide. Like if this is the career that you truly want to go after, you make your life fit around that. And
Hmm.
you make the decisions and you create opportunities if they're not brought to you to support your endeavors of
Hmm.
making, this your reality and this
Yeah.
like dream come true of yours.
Yeah.
So, I think we touched a lot of points.
Yes.
And I'm super excited with the movement of what we've created here at the Model Playbook. Modelpreneur is basically, to preface all that we've just spoken about, having this ecosystem on the internet where there's other models or aspiring models that are going through similar experiences, like ours,
Hmm.
to better equip them with the knowledge component of the modeling
Hmm.
industry and how we've are growing out our spearheads right now of different educators like
Hmm.
photographers, agents, makeup artists, creative directors, etc., for models to know all this knowledge before they even kind of tackle that modeling journey and kind of understanding from people that have already been through it. Because I remember in the beginning for me, I didn't have anything to go towards. I didn't have like an outlet for me to get these answers to my questions.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't want to talk to my agencies because for some reason I felt like if I let them enter all the doubts or areas of confusion in my mind, they wouldn't like me, so they wouldn't
Sure.
book me. I don't know why, but that's how my younger self really like viewed it as. And
Yeah.
I wanted to create an ecosystem, this hub for models to get really acquainted with others in the industry and really network and really use that network as leverage to take the steps that they need to take in whatever timeline it
Mm-hmm.
looks like for them.
Mm-hmm.
But also the component of that financial flexibility, I really wanted to hone in on that, right? Because as we mentioned, it's nearly impossible to understand what career is out here for you as a model to support you in your modeling endeavors. Your tech job doesn't want to hear that you need to be spontaneously available throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
You're even if you're a restaurant job worker and you're a cocktail server, etc., they don't want to hear that you need to leave for a couple of days and then come back to work. Eventually, you will lose your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I created Modelpreneur for models to really have an opportunity to have that financial back end to go after like their their areas of opportunities that they can. And it's virtual, so it's from models from all over.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can kind of hear, like the play on names, like it's a model and you're an entrepreneur. So it's really focused on models understanding what their brand is that's authentic to them, that they can productize and then monetize. And a little bit about me. I am a marketer at heart. I love finding, solutions to other people's problems in whatever vertical that they're in and productizing that to put it in the marketplace for them to receive income. And a, a balance of those two worlds, I think, is what models really should have as a skill set under their belt to go forward, like in this career. And I'm saying this at a super high level because I don't want to really let this kind of dominate our call. But, you know, Khayshea is a part of the community, so she's seeing firsthand on how it's being built. But I really feel like this is going to be a really big movement to really help and make an impact for a lot of models' endeavors, and just
Mm-hmm.
make their, route to modeling much easier.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Can I just add real quick? I think this is a beautiful thing that you're doing because of that same reason for me. I did not have anything like this at the start of my career. And I feel like people can find a mentor in just about anything. But a lot of times as a model, you run into people that gatekeep or you know what I mean? Like, yeah, what questions do you actually ask? Who is going to be willing to respond to me these days? And don't let it be somebody that feels like, maybe they have made certain levels. And, like, I think having a platform like this where questions can be answered. I mean,
yeah,
even going to different agents, or excuse me, different markets and different agencies, there's like a way that you present yourself that I really didn't know at all and have
yeah,
only learned through experience. So you're completely connecting the dots that are missing, I feel like, in our industry. So kudos to you because even as a model, whether it's just about your modeling career or you having, another business that you're doing alongside of that, like being a model is the business. You are an
yes,
entrepreneur, even just as a model alone. We got to file taxes. We have to make sure we're putting money to the side. If you are working in different network or different markets, then I have to pay California taxes that I do not have to pay here in Texas. It's a whole nother ball game, you know. So
yeah,
so just I just wanted to give you your flowers because it is going to do a lot for other young girls, guys, just anybody that is coming into this and need to have their questions answered from people that you don't have to believe what I've done, but I can definitely show you, for anybody that's like,
yeah.
I need to see the credentials. Does she know what she's talking about? I have no problem with that. But I think this is so beautiful and I'm so excited to be a part of it. And thank you for considering me.
Of course. Thank you for being a part of it, especially, you being a part of like the early members. It's like I am super excited for all that is yet to come and all that
Hmm.
Modelpreneur is going to amount to because it's really a movement that I wish I saw in my early 20s, like when I was starting out.
Hmm.
And I really wanted to just get my game planned, as efficiently as possible. And I wanted a true chance, like in my modeling career. And it's not until you get older when you look back and you see the broken pieces and the areas where you wish I turned left, where I turned right. And I just wanted to really create something for the models in this industry to
Hmm.
not make the same mistakes I did and
Yeah.
can prevent them from wasting so much time
Hmm.
and really give them like a fair shot within this industry because
Hmm.
you're right, no one really lets it all out and let it all hang.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm doing here. And I'm super excited for more people to know about it and become a part of Modelpreneur to
Hmm.
spread the word more. So, with that
Yeah.
being said, Keisha, is there anything that I'm missing that we also want to pinpoint over?
I think we talked about a lot. I think we've gotten at least a good hour of information out there. I would love to do a part two, three, four, five, six. Um, I'd love to even break down because I feel like each thing that we talked about could be its own hour as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested to see what the people want to hear also. Um, but yeah, I
Yes.
think is this the first one?
This is the first one on the channel.
Love
Yes.
this. So I think for the
So,
first, a lot of information has been given. But yeah, I'd love to come back to just expound or go deeper.
we will for sure. If not here, we'll also be going live in the community on a weekly basis.
Mhm.
So, um, these are definitely really great places to really spread more information and just dive deeper.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited. I want everyone to know Keisha, she is a very lovely model in person as well. And you can find where she hangs out down below. I'll put her IG. But what I'll also do is I'll put her referral link. So if you're looking to enter Modelpreneur, if you're interested on getting more details, you can go through her. So those links will be down below. And you can also, if you're interested, just shoot us the message or DM interested, and we'll know exactly where you came from. So, yeah, this was super awesome. Keisha, thank you again for
Yeah.
being
Thank you.
here and, expanding with me. And yeah, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll definitely chat soon.
For sure.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.